The crack of gunfire echoed across the arid plains as Olivia Winston clutched the reins of her spooked horse, her knuckles turning white with fear. She had been warned about traveling the Colorado Territory alone, but her determination to reach Golden before winter had outweighed caution. Now, with 5 bandits emerging from behind rocky outcroppings to surround her on the lonely trail, that decision seemed fatally flawed. The summer of 1872 had been unforgiving in its heat, and Olivia's throat felt parched as she surveyed her dire situation. Dust kicked up around her as the men's horses circled like vultures, their riders' faces shadowed beneath wide-brimmed hats, all sporting revolvers aimed in her direction. The leader, a man with a jagged scar running from eye to jaw, urged his mount forward. "Well now, what have we here?" he drawled, eyeing the trunk strapped to Olivia's wagon. A lady traveler all on her lonesome, mighty dangerous territory for such a pretty thing. Olivia raised her chin, fighting to keep her voice steady. "I have nothing of value, just personal belongings for my new teaching position in Golden." The scarred man laughed, revealing tobacco-stained teeth. "I'll be the judge of what's valuable, miss," he gestured to his companions. "Search the wagon, boys, and take your time with the lady. We ain't in no rush." Terror froze Olivia's blood as the men dismounted, their intentions clear in their leering grins. She reached for the small derringer hidden in the folds of her skirt, knowing it would be little use against 5 armed men, but unwilling to surrender without a fight. The crack of a rifle shot split the air, but this time from a different direction. One of the bandits howled in pain, clutching his shoulder as he dropped to the ground. "That's far enough," called a deep voice from atop a nearby ridge. A tall figure on horseback appeared, rifle raised and ready. "The next shot won't be a warning." The bandits whirled, guns drawn, but the newcomer fired again with lightning speed, sending another man's pistol flying from his grip. "I count 5 of you and 1 of me," the stranger said calmly, guiding his horse down the slope with confident ease. "But I like those odds better than 5 against a lady." Olivia stared at her unexpected savior. Broad-shouldered and lean-hipped, he sat his horse with the natural grace of a man who'd spent his life in the saddle. From beneath his dust-covered Stetson, piercing blue eyes assessed the situation with cool calculation. The lead bandit spat in the dirt. "This ain't your business, mister." "I'm making it my business," the cowboy replied, positioning himself between Olivia and the bandits. "Now you boys have 2 choices. Ride away or stay here permanently." His hand rested casually on his holstered revolver, but there was nothing casual about his stance. A tense silence stretched across the plains, broken only by the nervous shifting of horses. Then, with a curse, the leader jerked his head toward the horizon. "Mount up," he snarled to his men. "This ain't worth dying over." He fixed his gaze on Olivia, then the cowboy. "We'll meet again." "Looking forward to it," the cowboy replied, not moving until the bandits had disappeared in a cloud of dust. Only when they were truly gone did he turn to Olivia, his expression softening. "Madam, are you harmed?" Olivia released a shaky breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "No, thanks to you. I'm Olivia Winston." "Noah Kane," he replied, tipping his hat. "Might I ask what you're doing out here alone, traveling to Golden?" "I've accepted a position as the town's new schoolteacher." Olivia straightened her bonnet, trying to regain her composure. "I was told the route was safe." Noah's mouth set in a grim line. "It usually is. Those men weren't local, likely drifters following the mining boom." He glanced at the horizon where the bandits had disappeared. "They'll be back with friends. Golden's still a half-day's ride from here." "I'd be obliged if you'd allow me to escort you the rest of the way." Olivia hesitated, studying the stranger, While he had saved her, she knew nothing about this man, yet something in his steady gaze inspired trust. "I would be grateful for your protection, Mr. Kane," she finally said. Noah nodded, scanning the surroundings with vigilant eyes. "We should move quickly. There's a creek about an hour ahead where we can rest the horses." He checked her wagon wheels and the harness on her horse with practiced hands. "Your axle looks sound, but we'll need to set a good pace." As they traveled, Olivia learned Noah was a rancher with land outside Golden. He'd been tracking the very bandits who'd attacked her after they'd stolen cattle from his neighbor. "What brings a lady like yourself out west?" Noah asked as they rode side by side, his eyes constantly sweeping the landscape for danger. "A fresh start," Olivia replied, then added after a moment's hesitation, "and necessity. My father died last year, leaving considerable debts. Our home in Boston was sold to satisfy his creditors." "I'm sorry for your loss," Noah said with genuine sympathy. The teaching position in Golden offered both employment and distance from painful memories. Olivia continued, "I've taught in a Boston academy for young ladies for the past 3 years. Noah glanced at her with newfound respect. "Golden's children will benefit from your experience. The town's growing fast since the railroad came through." As the afternoon progressed, Olivia found herself increasingly drawn to her taciturn protector. There was an integrity about him, a quiet strength that had nothing to do with his skill with a gun. When they stopped at the creek he'd mentioned, he helped her down from the wagon with gentle hands that contrasted with his weathered appearance. "How did you come to be a rancher, Mr. Kane?" Olivia asked as they allowed the horses to drink. "Noah, please," he corrected with the hint of a smile. "I came west after the war, served with the Union cavalry." A shadow passed over his features. "Afterward, I couldn't settle back into city life in Pennsylvania. Needed open spaces and a fresh start, same as you." He filled their canteens from the clear creek. "Won my first parcel of land in a poker game built from there." Olivia noticed the faded scar that ran along his jawline. "The war?" she asked softly. Noah's hand unconsciously touched the mark. "Andersonville," he said simply, naming the infamous Confederate prison camp. "But that's past now." His quiet dignity in the face of what must have been horrific suffering moved her deeply. This was no reckless gunslinger, but a man who had endured and persevered. As they prepared to continue their journey, a distant cloud of dust caught Noah's attention. His posture immediately tensed. "Riders coming fast," he said, his voice urgent. "Could be our friends returning." Olivia's heart raced as Noah quickly led their horses into a grove of cottonwoods that offered concealment near the creek. "Stay here," he instructed, helping her down from the wagon. "If anything happens to me, follow the creek north until you reach the main trail. Golden's northwest from there." Before she could protest, he moved to the edge of the trees, rifle ready. Olivia clutched her derringer, determined not to be helpless. The approaching riders slowed as they neared the creek. To Olivia's relief, it wasn't the bandits but a small group of travelers, an older man driving a wagon with a younger man riding alongside. "It's all right," Noah called to her, lowering his rifle. "I know them. That's Samuel Taylor and his son from Golden." The tension drained from Olivia as Noah waved to the newcomers, who approached with friendly greetings. "Noah Kane. What brings you out this way?" Samuel called. "Escorting Miss Winston to town," Noah explained, introducing Olivia. "She had some trouble with Jasper Pike's gang." Samuel's expression darkened. "They've been terrorizing travelers all month. Sheriff Miller organized a posse just yesterday." He turned to Olivia with a grandfatherly smile. "You must be our new schoolteacher. My daughter-in-law is on the town council, said you were expected soon." "Yes, I'm to begin when the new schoolhouse is completed," Olivia confirmed. "We're heading back to Golden ourselves," Samuel said. "Safety in numbers, I always say." Noah nodded, visibly relieved at the additional company. "That's welcome news." The remainder of the journey passed more pleasantly in the tailor's company. Samuel proved to be a natural storyteller, regaling Olivia with tales of Golden's founding and growth. His son Daniel, though quieter, occasionally added details about the town's current businesses and residents. "The schoolhouse should be finished within 2 weeks," Daniel informed her. "My wife Emma has been organizing donations of books and supplies. The children have been using the back room of the church meanwhile," Samuel added, "but they're mighty excited about a proper school and a real teacher from the east." As the sun began its descent toward the mountains, the landscape changed, becoming more dramatic with the foothills of the Rockies rising before them. The late afternoon light bathed everything in golden hues that took Olivia's breath away. "It's beautiful," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Noah, riding beside her wagon, caught her words. "Wait until you see it at sunrise," he said softly. "That's when it truly earns its name." Their eyes met for a moment, and something unspoken passed between them, a shared appreciation for the wild beauty surrounding them, and perhaps something more. The first buildings of Golden appeared just as twilight descended. Olivia gazed eagerly at her new home. Though smaller than Boston, the town appeared prosperous and well-established, with a main street lined with brick and wooden buildings. A church spire rose above the rooftops, and lamplight glowed warmly from windows. Samuel pointed out landmarks as they entered town: the courthouse, the mercantile, the newspaper office. "And there's the boarding house where you'll be staying," he said, indicating a well-kept 2-story building with a wide porch. "Mrs. Holloway runs a respectable establishment. No gentlemen callers upstairs, and meals prompt at 7, noon, and 6. Olivia smiled at the familiar strictness. Some things didn't change whether east or west. Noah guided her wagon to the front of the boarding house. "I'll help with your trunks," he offered, jumping down from his horse. As he lifted her heaviest trunk with apparent ease, Olivia was struck by a sudden reluctance to part from this man who had saved her life and shown such kindness. "Mr. Kane, Noah," she said, as he placed the trunk on the porch. "I don't know how to thank you properly for what you did today." He straightened, dusting his hands on his trousers. "No thanks needed, Miss Winston. Anyone would have done the same." "We both know that's not true," she replied softly. A flicker of something, perhaps surprise, perhaps pleasure, crossed his features. Before he could respond, the boarding house door opened, revealing a plump, gray-haired woman with a welcoming smile. "You must be Miss Winston. We've been expecting you." The woman introduced herself as Martha Holloway, proprietress of the boarding house. "When you didn't arrive on yesterday's stage, we were starting to worry. Miss Winston had some trouble on the trail," Noah explained. "Jasper Pike and his gang." Mrs. Holloway's hand flew to her throat. "Merciful heavens! You poor dear, come in, come in. You must be exhausted." Olivia turned back to Noah, who remained on the porch. "Will I see you again?" she asked, then blushed at her own forwardness. A slow smile spread across his face, transforming his serious features. "I expect so, Miss Winston. Golden's not a big town." He tipped his hat. "Rest well. You're safe now." As Olivia was ushered inside to a hot meal and a soft bed, she found herself looking forward to her new life in Golden with an eagerness that had as much to do with a certain blue-eyed rancher as it did with her teaching position. The following days were a whirlwind of activity as Olivia settled into Golden. Mrs. Holloway proved to be not only an excellent cook, but also a wellspring of local information. Through her, Olivia quickly learned the town's history, politics, and most importantly, It's gossip. Noah Kane's one of the most respected men in the county, Mrs. Holloway informed her over breakfast on Olivia's third day in town. Started with nothing but that parcel up North Creek and now runs one of the finest cattle operations in Colorado Territory. He seems very capable, Olivia replied carefully, trying to hide her interest. Mrs. Holloway smiled knowingly. Capable, handsome, and unmarried. Every single woman in 3 counties has set her cap for him, but he keeps to himself mostly. She poured more coffee into Olivia's cup. Civil War left its marks, and not just the ones you can see. Olivia nodded, remembering the scar and the shadow that had crossed Noah's face when he'd mentioned Andersonville. Her duties began even before the schoolhouse was completed. The town council arranged for her to meet prospective students and their parents at a gathering in the church. Olivia was pleasantly surprised by the enthusiasm of both children and adults for education. Many of the mining and ranching families had sacrificed considerably to build the school and hire a qualified teacher. Emma Taylor, Daniel's wife and a member of the town council, became a fast friend, helping Olivia navigate her new community. A petite woman with an energetic personality, Emma had grown up in Denver and understood the challenges of adapting to frontier life. Most of these families value education almost as much as survival, Emma explained as they walked through town one morning. They want their children to have opportunities they never had. Olivia was inspecting the nearly completed schoolhouse when a familiar figure rode down the main street. Noah Kane sat tall in the saddle, his broad shoulders silhouetted against the afternoon sun. Her heart inexplicably quickened at the sight of him. He spotted her at the same moment and touched his hat in greeting before dismounting outside the mercantile. Olivia wanted to approach him but hesitated, unsure of the propriety. This wasn't Boston, but she was still the town's teacher, expected to maintain certain standards. Emma noticed her distraction. "You should go say hello," she suggested with a smile. "It's perfectly acceptable here for a lady to speak to a gentleman in public." Taking a deep breath, Olivia crossed the street. Noah was tying his horse to the hitching post when she approached. "Mr. Kane," she greeted him, his face brightened. "Miss Winston, you're looking well. Golden agrees with you." "It does indeed. Everyone has been most welcoming." She gestured to the schoolhouse behind her. "The building should be ready next week, and I'll begin classes. The town's been needing a proper school for years." Noah seemed genuinely pleased. "How are you finding Mrs. Holloway's boarding house?" "Very comfortable, though I must admit the lack of privacy takes some adjustment after having my own home." A man exited the mercantile, nodding to Noah. "Kane, your order's ready. Jacob's packing it now." "Thanks, Peterson." Noah turned back to Olivia. "I need to collect some supplies, but—" He hesitated, then seemed to make a decision. "There's a social at the church Saturday evening. Would you allow me to escort you?" Olivia felt a rush of pleasure at the invitation. "I would like that very much. I'll call for you at 7 then." His smile transformed his face again, erasing years and hardship. As Olivia returned to the schoolhouse, Emma gave her a knowing look. "The most eligible bachelor in the county, and he's calling on our new schoolteacher. You'll be the talk of the town by supper time." Olivia blushed. "It's merely a social at the church." "Nothing is merely anything in a small town," Emma laughed. "But Noah's a good man, one of the best." Saturday evening arrived with agonizing slowness. Olivia changed her dress 3 times before settling on a deep blue gown that brought out the color of her eyes. Mrs. Holloway helped with her hair, arranging it in a style more elaborate than Olivia's usual simple bun. "You look lovely, dear," the older woman assured her. "Quite the picture." When Noah arrived precisely at 7, Olivia's breath caught at the transformation. Gone were the dusty trail clothes, replaced by a crisp white shirt, dark waistcoat, and clean pressed trousers. His hair, usually hidden beneath his hat, was neatly combed, revealing rich chestnut strands with hints of gold. "Miss Winston," he said, his voice low with admiration, "you are a vision." The social proved to be far more enjoyable than Olivia had anticipated. The church basement was decorated with paper lanterns and wildflowers, and someone had brought a fiddle and harmonica for dancing. Noah introduced her to those she hadn't yet met, his hand a steady presence at the small of her back. "You're quite popular," Olivia observed as yet another rancher stopped to discuss cattle prices with Noah. "Necessary evil of business," he replied with a rueful smile. "I'd much rather be dancing with the prettiest woman in the room." He led her to the makeshift dance floor where couples were whirling to a lively reel. Noah proved to be an excellent dancer, moving with the same natural grace he showed on horseback. His hand was warm and strong around hers, and Olivia found herself laughing with pure delight as he guided her through the steps. "You're full of surprises, Mr. Kane," she said breathlessly when the music ended. "Where does a rancher learn to dance like that?" A shadow briefly crossed his features. "My mother insisted all her sons learn properly, said a gentleman should know how to conduct himself in any situation. She sounds like a wise woman." She was. The past tense and his tone told Olivia all she needed to know. As the evening progressed, they found a quiet corner where they could talk undisturbed. Olivia learned Noah had two younger brothers, one a lawyer in Denver, the other running a shipping business in San Francisco. "My father wanted us all in the family business back in Pennsylvania," Noah explained. "Manufacturing, but after the war," he shrugged, "we each found our own paths." "Do you miss your family?" Olivia asked. "Sometimes. James, my Denver brother, visits occasionally. I haven't seen Thomas in 3 years." A trace of sadness colored his words. "What about you? Any family back east?" "Just an aunt in Philadelphia. My mother died when I was 12 and father never remarried." Olivia twisted her handkerchief in her lap. "We were close, despite his business troubles." Noah's hand covered hers gently. "It's hard losing parents, no matter your age." The simple touch and understanding in his voice touched Olivia deeply. This man knew loss as she did, had rebuilt his life as she was attempting to do. The connection between them felt stronger with each revelation. When the social ended, Noah walked her back to the boarding house, their pace deliberately slow to extend their time together. The night was clear, stars scattered across the dark sky like diamond dust. "I've never seen so many stars," Olivia marveled, gazing upward. "In Boston, the gas lamps and coal smoke obscure most of them." Noah followed her gaze. "Out at my ranch, away from even Golden's lights, you can see twice this many. The Milky Way looks close enough to touch." "It must be beautiful," she said softly. "It can be lonely," he admitted, his voice equally soft. They reached the boarding house steps too soon. Noah took her hand, his thumb brushing lightly across her knuckles. "Thank you for a wonderful evening, Miss Winston." "Olivia," she corrected gently. "After all we've shared, I think you should use my given name." His smile in the lamplight made her heart flutter. "Olivia," he repeated as if savoring the sound, "I hope to see you again soon." "I would like that very much. Noah." He raised her hand to his lips in a gesture that felt both old-fashioned and thrillingly intimate. "Good night, Olivia." She watched him walk away, her hand still tingling from his kiss, knowing that something significant had shifted between them. Golden already felt more like home than Boston ever had. The schoolhouse opened the following Tuesday with 23 pupils ranging from 6 to 16 years of age. Olivia discovered the challenges of teaching multiple grades simultaneously, but found unexpected joy in the earnestness of her frontier students. Many had received only sporadic education before, yet they attacked their lessons with determination that humbled her. Noah didn't call again immediately, which disappointed Olivia until Emma explained he'd ridden to Denver on business. Cattle contracts, Emma clarified over tea in her parlor. He supplies beef to the army forts and the railroad camps. Very lucrative, but it takes him away regularly. I see, Olivia replied, trying to hide her relief that his absence wasn't due to lack of interest. He'll be back for the Harvest Festival next weekend, Emma added with a knowing smile. The whole county attends. It's quite the event. Olivia was learning that in Golden, social life revolved around community gatherings, church socials, barn raisings, quilting bees, and seasonal festivals. After the relative anonymity of Boston, the closeness of the community was both comforting and occasionally overwhelming. The Harvest Festival lived up to its reputation. The town square was transformed with autumn decorations, corn shocks, pumpkins, and colorful leaves adorning every surface. Tables groaned under the weight of pies, cakes, and roasted meats. Contests of strength and skill occupied the men, while the women displayed their handiwork for judging. Olivia had just finished supervising her students' recitation of harvest poems when she felt a presence behind her. Turning, she found Noah watching her, a warm smile on his face. "That was impressive, Miss Winston," he said, loud enough for others to hear, then added more quietly, "Hello, Olivia." "Noah," she breathed, unable to suppress her smile. "You're back. Just rode in this morning, wouldn't miss the festival." His eyes held hers. "Or the chance to see you again." They spent the day together, moving through the festival activities side by side. Noah introduced her to ranchers and their families from outlying areas, his hand often finding the small of her back or her elbow in a protective gesture that felt increasingly natural. During the afternoon shooting competition, Olivia watched in admiration as Noah demonstrated his marksmanship, winning handily against all challengers. "Where did you learn to shoot like that?" she asked as he accepted his prize, a fine leather gun belt. "Necessity, mostly," he replied modestly. "Out here, your aim can mean the difference between eating or going hungry. During the war, it meant survival." As sunset approached, musicians set up for dancing on a wooden platform. Noah led Olivia to the floor for the first waltz, holding her closer than propriety strictly allowed, but not so close as to cause scandal. "I missed you," he confessed as they moved to the music. "Did you?" Olivia's heart quickened at his admission, "More than I expected to." His blue eyes were serious. "Denver used to be a welcome change from ranch isolation. This time, I couldn't wait to return." His honesty touched her deeply. "I missed you too." As darkness fell, lanterns were lit around the square, casting a warm glow over the revelers. Noah suggested they take a break from dancing, offering his arm to lead her away from the crowds. "There's something I want to show you," he explained, guiding her toward the edge of town. They walked to a small rise overlooking Golden, where the festival lights twinkled below them like earthbound stars. Above, the true stars emerged in the darkening sky, more numerous than Olivia had ever seen. "This is magnificent," she whispered. "The view from my ranch is better," Noah said quietly. "I'd like to show it to you someday." Olivia turned to face him, aware they were very much alone and that in Boston, such a situation would be scandalous. Yet here, with Noah, she felt only trust and a growing emotion she was hesitant to name. "I would like to see it," she replied. Noah stepped closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "Olivia, I know we haven't known each other long, but He paused, seemingly searching for words. "I've never met anyone like you." Your courage, your kindness, your determination to start anew out here, it's extraordinary." Olivia's breath caught. "Noah, I'm not a man of fancy words," he continued, "but I find myself thinking of you constantly. I'd like permission to court you properly if you're amenable." Joy bloomed in Olivia's chest. "I am very amenable," she whispered. Noah's smile was radiant as he took her hand in his. Slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wished, he leaned forward. Their lips met in a kiss that was gentle yet held promise of deeper passion. Olivia felt herself responding with an intensity that surprised her, her free hand moving to rest against his chest, feeling his heart beating as rapidly as her own. When they eventually broke apart, Noah rested his forehead against hers. "I should return you to the festival before your reputation suffers," he said reluctantly. "Yes," she agreed, equally reluctant, "though I find I care less about that than I once did." He laughed softly, pressing another quick kiss to her lips before offering his arm. "Nevertheless, I intend to court you respectably, Miss Winston. No whispered scandals will attach themselves to your name if I can help it." As they walked back toward the lights and music, Olivia felt as though she were floating. For the first time since her father's death had upended her life, she felt truly hopeful about the future. The following weeks established a pattern. Noah called at the boarding house every Sunday after church to take Olivia driving in his buggy. They explored the countryside around Golden, picnicked by Clear Creek, and visited his closest neighbors. Always, they were careful to maintain propriety, never venturing too far alone and returning well before darkness fell. During the week, Noah often appeared at the schoolhouse as classes ended, ostensibly to help with maintenance or to deliver firewood as the weather turned colder. The children quickly grew accustomed to seeing the tall rancher waiting patiently, hat in hand, to walk their teacher home. By mid-November, their courtship was the accepted talk of the town. Mrs. Holloway relaxed her rules enough to allow Noah to call in the boarding house parlor 3 evenings a week, though she made a point of staying within earshot if not eyesight. "It's not that I don't trust you both," she explained to Olivia, "but appearances matter, especially for a schoolteacher." Olivia understood the reasoning, even as she cherished the evenings by the parlor fire with Noah, talking about books they'd read, sharing childhood memories, and building dreams for the future. "My land adjoins the national forest," Noah told her one evening, sketching a rough map on a piece of paper. "Here's where the house stands now, but there's a better site on a rise overlooking the valley. I've always thought I'd build there someday." The implication in his words was clear, and Olivia's heart swelled with emotion. They hadn't spoken explicitly of marriage, but the direction of their relationship seemed increasingly certain. As winter settled over the Colorado territory, bringing snow and biting winds, Olivia experienced the harsher realities of frontier life. The schoolhouse, despite its newness, proved drafty in places, and keeping the children warm became a daily challenge. Supplies from Denver were delayed by snowstorms, leading to shortages at the mercantile. Noah worried about her comfort during these hardships. "Winter's barely begun," he said one Sunday as they sat in the boarding house parlor. "January and February will be worse." "I'm hardier than I look," Olivia assured him, "and the children need their schooling, regardless of the weather." "You're remarkable," he said softly, his eyes warm with admiration. "Most Eastern ladies would have fled back to civilization by now." She reached for his hand, propriety be damned. "I have no desire to return east. My life is here now." His fingers entwined with hers. "With the children?" he asked, his voice low. Olivia met his gaze steadily. "With the children, with Golden, with you, Noah." A week before Christmas, A blizzard swept through the territory, the worst in recent memory according to old-timers. School was canceled as snow piled head-high in places, and the town came together to ensure everyone had sufficient firewood and provisions. Noah rode in from his ranch despite the treacherous conditions, appearing at the boarding house door covered in snow, his concern for Olivia evident in his exhausted features. "You shouldn't have risked the journey," she scolded gently as Mrs. Holloway bustled about preparing hot coffee. "I had to know you were safe," he replied simply. He couldn't stay long, the storm was worsening, and he needed to return to his ranch where his foreman and hands were struggling to protect the cattle from the deadly cold. Before he left, he pressed something into Olivia's hand. "I intended this for Christmas," he said quietly, "but given the weather, I might not make it back to town by then." It was a small package wrapped in brown paper and string. Olivia looked at him questioningly. "Open it when I'm gone," he instructed, brushing a kiss against her cheek before heading back into the howling storm. Alone in her room that evening, Olivia carefully unwrapped the package. Inside lay a small wooden box, beautifully carved with wildflowers. Opening it, she gasped at the contents, a delicate gold ring set with a perfect sapphire, surrounded by tiny diamonds. Beneath the ring was a folded note in Noah's strong handwriting. "Olivia, this was my mother's ring. She made me promise to give it only to the woman who captured my heart completely. I never thought to find her, especially not on a dusty trail outside Golden. But God works in mysterious ways. If you'll have me, I want to build a life with you. Not just the house on the hill, but a family, a future, a forever." With all my love, Noah. Tears blurred Olivia's vision as she slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly, as if made for her. Outside, the blizzard raged, but inside her heart was filled with warmth and certainty. The storm lasted 3 days, leaving Golden isolated under a blanket of white. When it finally cleared, the temperature plummeted further, turning the snow to a treacherous crust of ice. There was no word from Noah or his ranch, but this wasn't unusual. Many outlying areas remained cut off until paths could be cleared. Christmas approached, and still Noah didn't appear in town. Olivia wore his ring on a chain beneath her dress, close to her heart, waiting to give him her answer in person. She tried not to worry, knowing he was experienced in winter survival, but as Christmas Eve arrived with no sign of him, her concern deepened. After the Christmas Eve service at the church, Sheriff Miller approached her. "Miss Winston, a rider just came in from the North Creek area. The Henderson place was hit hard by the storm. Barn roof collapsed. They've asked for help." Olivia's heart stuttered. "The Hendersons are Noah's neighbors, aren't they?" The sheriff nodded grimly. "The rider said Kane's men have been helping, working day and night. There was an accident yesterday. Kane was injured." The world seemed to tilt beneath Olivia's feet. "How badly?" "Don't know details. The rider just said he was hurt trying to rescue trapped livestock. I'm gathering men to ride out at first light." The sheriff's expression softened at her obvious distress. "I'll bring news as soon as I can, Miss Winston." That night was the longest of Olivia's life. She paced her small room, alternating between prayer and planning. By dawn, she had made her decision. When Sheriff Miller and his men assembled in the town square, they found Olivia waiting, dressed in her warmest clothes, determination set in every line of her face. "Miss Winston, you can't come along," the sheriff protested. "It's dangerous country in these conditions." "I'm a capable rider, Sheriff, and I have medical training from my time volunteering at Massachusetts General Hospital." Her tone brooked no argument. "Noah would do the same for me." After a moment's consideration, the sheriff reluctantly agreed, perhaps recognizing that she would follow regardless. One of the men offered a sturdy mount, and they set off as the sun crested the mountains, casting pink-gold light across the snow. The journey was arduous. Even with men riding ahead to break trail, the horses struggled through deep drifts. Twice they had to detour around impassable areas where snow had completely filled narrow passes. The bitter cold seeped through Olivia's layers despite her woolen cloak and gloves. By mid-afternoon, when they finally crested the rise overlooking Noah's ranch, Olivia was half frozen but resolute. The cluster of buildings below showed signs of the storm's fury. Part of a corral fence was down, and snow had drifted against the barn almost to its roof. But smoke rose steadily from the main house chimney, a reassuring sign of life. A man emerged from the barn as they approached, recognizing the sheriff's party with a wave. It was Garrett, Noah's foreman, his weathered face etched with exhaustion. "Sheriff," he greeted them, then noticed Olivia with surprise. "Miss Winston, didn't expect to see you out here." "How is he?" Olivia asked without preamble, dismounting stiffly. Garrett's expression softened. "Stubborn as ever. Took a bad fall when we were trying to free some cattle trapped in a ravine. Broke his leg and cracked a few ribs. Doc Sanders from the Henderson place set the bone, but he's running a fever." "Take me to him," Olivia said, her tone leaving no room for refusal. The ranch house was warm and surprisingly comfortable inside. Olivia had imagined a bachelor's Spartan quarters, but Noah's home reflected care and attention to detail. Bookshelves lined one wall of the main room, filled with volumes that indicated a curious, intelligent mind. Simple but quality furnishings created a welcoming atmosphere. Garrett led her to a bedroom at the back of the house. "He's been asking for you," he said quietly. "Even delirious with fever, he keeps saying your name." Noah lay in a large bed, his face pale beneath his tan, eyes closed. A splinted leg rested atop the covers, and bandages wrapped his bare torso. His breathing was shallow, each inhale clearly causing pain. Olivia moved to his side, placing a gentle hand on his forehead. The heat of fever burned beneath her touch. His eyes fluttered open at her contact, unfocused at first, then widening in disbelief. "Olivia," he whispered, voice hoarse. "Am I dreaming?" "No dream," she assured him, fighting back tears at seeing him so weakened. "I'm here, Noah." A ghost of his usual smile crossed his face. "Shouldn't be." "Dangerous journey." "As I recall, you once made a dangerous journey for me," she replied, pulling a chair close to his bedside. "I'm returning the favor." Over the next hours, Olivia worked alongside Garrett and the ranch hands to care for Noah. She applied cool compresses to his fevered brow, coaxed him to drink herbal teas known to reduce inflammation, and carefully redressed his wounds. Sheriff Miller and most of his men departed to help at neighboring ranches, leaving 2 deputies behind in case they were needed. By nightfall, Noah's fever had broken and he slept more peacefully. Olivia sat vigilant beside him, unwilling to leave even as exhaustion tugged at her own body. When he woke shortly before midnight, his eyes were clearer, more alert. "You're really here," he said, reaching for her hand. "I thought I'd imagined it." Olivia entwined her fingers with his. "Wild horses couldn't keep me away." She reached beneath her collar, pulling out the chain with his ring. "Especially when I have an answer to give you." Noah's eyes fixed on the ring, then moved to her face, hope and uncertainty warring in his expression. With deliberate movements, Olivia removed the ring from its chain and slipped it onto her finger. "Yes," she said simply. "Yes, Noah Kane, I will marry you and build that house on the hill and fill it with children and books and love." Joy transformed his features despite his pain. "You're certain? Life out here isn't easy, especially in winter." "I've never been more certain of anything," she assured him. I love you, Noah. East or west, in comfort or hardship, you are where my heart belongs." He raised their joined hands to his lips, kissing her fingers where his mother's ring now rested. "I love you too, Olivia Winston, more than I have words to express." They were married in the spring, when wildflowers carpeted the meadows and Noah had healed enough to stand without assistance. The entire town of Golden turned out for the ceremony, held in the church where they had first danced together. Olivia wore a gown of ivory silk ordered from Denver, with sprigs of columbine, Colorado's mountain flower, woven into her upswept hair. Noah, resplendent in a new black suit, watched her walk down the aisle with such naked adoration that several ladies in the congregation dabbed at their eyes. Their vows were simple but heartfelt, promising love and fidelity through whatever challenges life might bring. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Noah's kiss held both tenderness and passionate promise. The reception at the town hall lasted well into the evening, with music, dancing, and enough food to feed twice the population of Golden. As twilight approached, the newlyweds slipped away, boarding the buggy Noah had meticulously prepared for their journey home to his ranch, now theirs together. "I have something to show you before we arrive," Noah said as they traveled the now familiar road. Instead of continuing toward the ranch buildings, he guided the horses up a winding path toward the rise he had once described to her. As they crested the hill, Olivia gasped. There, outlined against the sunset sky, stood the wooden frame of a house, their house, the foundation complete, the skeleton of walls and roof erected. "It won't be finished until late summer," Noah said apologetically, "but I wanted you to see it, to know that our future is already being built." Olivia turned to him, eyes shining with tears of joy. "It's perfect, Noah. Everything I could have dreamed." He helped her down from the buggy, and they stood together on what would someday be their front porch, overlooking the valley below where the lights of the ranch buildings twinkled in the gathering dusk. Above them, the first stars appeared in the deepening blue of the sky. Noah pulled her close, his arms strong and secure around her waist. "Welcome home, Mrs. Kane." Olivia leaned into his embrace, filled with gratitude for the twist of fate that had brought them together, an ambush on a lonely trail, a brave cowboy's intervention, and the love that had grown between them, as vast and enduring as the western sky above. "Home," she echoed, tilting her face up for his kiss. At last. By the following spring, their house on the hill was completed, a sprawling ranch home with wide windows to capture the magnificent views in every direction. Olivia had finished the school year in Golden, then reluctantly resigned her position, knowing the daily journey between town and ranch would be impractical, especially given her condition. Their first child, a son they named William after Noah's father, was born on a crisp October day when the aspen leaves had turned to gold. Olivia's labor had been difficult but ultimately rewarding, and Noah's wonder as he held his newborn son brought fresh tears to her eyes. "He has your chin," Noah whispered, carefully returning the swaddled infant to her arms. "And thank God, your nose instead of mine." Olivia laughed softly, tracing a finger over their son's downy head. "I happen to be quite fond of your nose, Mr. Kane." Life settled into new rhythms. Noah expanded his cattle operation, while Olivia established a small school in their home for the children of ranch hands and neighboring properties. William was joined 2 years later by a sister, Elizabeth, who inherited her father's striking blue eyes and her mother's determination. The years passed with the natural cycles of ranch life: spring calving, summer grazing, fall roundups, and winter's quiet isolation. There were hardships, Of course, drought years that stressed the land and their finances. A diphtheria outbreak that nearly claimed Elizabeth when she was 4. The devastating fire that destroyed their first barn. But there were far more joyous Christmas gatherings that filled their home with friends and family, including Noah's brothers who traveled from Denver and San Francisco. Community celebrations where Noah and Olivia still danced together as if no one else existed. Quiet evenings by the fire reading aloud or simply enjoying each other's presence. On their 10th anniversary, Noah surprised Olivia with a journey back east to visit her aunt in Philadelphia and to show their children the world she had come from. The visit was enlightening for them all, William and Elizabeth wide-eyed at the busy city streets and formal manners, Olivia realizing how completely Colorado had become her true home. Would you ever want to return permanently? Noah asked one night in their hotel room, a hint of uncharacteristic insecurity in his voice. Olivia curled against him, her head on his shoulder where it had rested nearly every night for a decade. Never, she said with complete certainty. This is interesting to visit, but our life, our love, that's in Colorado. His arms tightened around her. I thank God every day for sending those bandits to ambush you, he murmured against her hair. She laughed, propping herself up to look into his beloved face, now bearing new lines of experience alongside the old war scar. That's a rather unorthodox blessing, but true nonetheless, he insisted. If not for them, we might never have met. You might have arrived safely in Golden, taught your students, perhaps eventually married some shopkeeper or banker. His expression darkened slightly at the thought. Never, Olivia said again, kissing away his frown. Even without the ambush, I would have found you, Noah Kane. Or you would have found me. Some things are simply meant to be. 25 years after that fateful day on the trail, Olivia stood on the porch of their house, watching the sun set over land that had become as familiar to her as her own reflection. Noah joined her, his hair now silver at the temples but his stance still straight and proud. "Penny for your thoughts, Mrs. Kane," he asked, slipping an arm around her waist. "I was remembering the day we met," she replied, leaning into his embrace. "How terrified I was when those men surrounded my wagon, and then how you appeared like something from a dime novel, all courage and certainty." Noah chuckled, the sound rich and warm. "I was anything but certain. Outnumbered, outgunned, with a beautiful woman's life at stake, I was practically shaking in my boots." "You never showed it," Olivia marveled. "Couldn't afford to." He turned her gently to face him. "Not with you watching." After all these years, his touch still kindled warmth within her. Their children were grown now, William running much of the ranch operations while courting the daughter of a neighboring rancher. Elizabeth teaching at the Golden School her mother had once presided over, considering a proposal from a young lawyer new to the territory. "Any regrets?" Noah asked softly, a question he posed on each anniversary, a tradition between them. "Not one," Olivia answered truthfully, raising a hand to caress his weathered cheek. "Every challenge, every joy, every moment with you has been a blessing beyond what I could have imagined when I left Boston all those years ago." Noah captured her hand, pressing a kiss to her palm. "I love you, Olivia Winston Kane, more with each passing day. And I love you, my gallant cowboy." She smiled up at him, her heart as full as it had been on their wedding day. "For all the days of my life." As the last light faded from the sky, they remained on the porch, wrapped in each other's arms, watching the stars emerge, the same stars that had witnessed their first kiss, their vows, their life unfolding beneath the vast Colorado sky. From ambush to eternity, their love had only grown stronger, a testament to courage, commitment, and the unexpected paths that lead to destiny.